All right, so this is what we're going to be building in today's video, a video calling app where we can change our microphone, turn off and on our microphone, turn off and on our video as well. And by the way, we will also be creating a smart meeting assistant which will join our call and summarize our meetings, take notes, etc. I'll show you in just a moment. We can also add some reactions over here. We can even share our screens, or we can record our calls as well, and you can see the live transcriptions on the right side as we are having a conversation. So if you want to make someone else join this call, let me just copy this link over here. Let me just mute this call for now. And I'm gonna go to another window and open it up. Let me enter the name and let's join this meeting. Okay, there we go. We are in. Amazing. Similar to this, more people can join over here as well. Now, let me show you the best part. So I'll make the meeting assistant join this call. There we go. Our meeting assistant has joined. So what I'll do, I'll set some context over here. And by the way, this meeting assistant won't speak unless we explicitly say, hey, assistant, and then ask some questions. So for setting the context, let me talk something over here. So let's talk about React 19.2. It has the activity component and use effect event hook, which is super cool and very useful to be used in our future project. Let me ask it a question now. Hey, assistant, can you summarize the call?
The call was just about React's 19.2 feature release, including activity component and use effect event. There were no meetings or action items discussed.
We will be building this app in Next.js and Stream. And for our smart meeting assistant, we will be using an open source library called Vision Agents. And unlike other frameworks, Vision Agent was designed for video AI from day to day. This means native support for computer vision models like YOLO, AI avatars, and real-time video and audio processing that we will see in this video as we move forward. Alright, so I've opened VS Code over here, and let's quickly go on and initialize a brand new Next.js app. So I'm going to go to my terminal and I'm going to say npx create next app at latest and press enter. It's going to ask us to proceed. Yes. What's your project name? If you give it some name, it will get a folder over here. So I'm going to say meeting assistant or whatever, you can give it a video call app or whatever. You can name it something. Let's say customize settings. Would you like to use TypeScript? No. ESLint, yes. React compiler, no. Tailwind CSS, yes. SRC directory, no. App router, yes. We won't be customizing the import alias. Okay, nice. So it's going to install all of these dependencies right here. All right, there we go. It has created it. Let's just switch to this folder and I'm going to say npm run dev to run our Next.js app. There we go. Let's click on this link. There we go. Our Next.js app is running. So where can you find this code? If you go to our meeting assistant folder, inside of the app folder, we have this page.js where you have this complete code. So what I'll do, I'll just get rid of this complete div right here. I'm just going to have a simple div which will say subscribe to Roadside Coder, which you should if you haven't yet. So let's see. Yes, we can see subscribe to Roadside Coder over here. Great. Now this is a very simple app as I showed you in the intro. We are going to first of all have a page that is our home page where we will be inputting the name of the user. If they do not input any name, it will simply pick up as anonymous, right? So that is what we will be creating right here in the home page. And obviously we will be using Tailwind CSS for styling this. So first of all, for this div, I'm going to say class name is going to be display flex. Items to be centered, that is vertically, we're going to keep all of the items as centered, and justify centered, that is for horizontal centering, right? Minimum height of this will be screen, that is 100 viewport height. Background gradient, actually I think it's background linear now to bottom right, and we can provide a gradient over here for our background, like from gray 900 via 800 to gray 900 again. Okay, and we can say text is going to be white. So now if you notice, we will have some gradient in the background such as this, and our content will be in the very center where we can show that input box. Okay, nice. Let's just have another div inside of it, which will have some padding and stuff. So I'll say class name of padding of 8, background gray of 800. So this is basically will be for the box that we'll be having inside of it, right? Rounded to be 2XL. We'll give some border and border gray to be 700. Okay, then we can provide it some width of 80, and then we can give it some shadow of 2XL. Oops, yeah, something like this. Okay, now simply inside of it, let's just render a heading. So I'm going to have an h2 tag, which will say enter your name. So now you'll notice, yes, something like this. This has some shadow and stuff as well. Right, let's give this heading some styles. I'll say class name, text to be Excel, font is going to be semi bold, margin bottom to be 4, and text is going to be in the center, right? So now you'll see, yes, something like this. This looks good. Okay, now below this heading, we are going to be having an input tag for inputting the name of our user, right? So I'll say input. And by the way, if you guys want, you can use some library like Shadsane UI, then you won't have to create a custom input over here. So, but I wanted to keep it very simple since it's a very small app, right? So padding horizontal to be 4, padding vertical to be 3, width full, rounded is going to be large for, the curves around the box, the input, background gray of 700 with 80% opacity, some border around this input, border gray of 600, text is going to be white. Let's see how this looks. If I say hello, yes, this looks nice. Let's provide it with some placeholder over here. We can say placeholder example Piyush, like whatever the name that they want to enter over here. Let's have the state for storing our username. So since we are creating a state over here, this has to be a client component. So I'll say use client. So there are two types of components in Next.js, a client component and server component. Server components are rendered on server where you cannot have sort of like hooks and all, dynamic logic. So we keep these logic client side, right? So I'll say use state. And if you don't know what use state or state in general is, it's basically like a variable. When we update any state, our component re-renders and its values get updated. So I'll say user name over here. This is where we'll be storing the value, and set username is what we will be using to change this value, right? So over here, this is the initial value for this one. Okay, we will also take one more hook over here, which is called as use router hook. And this will be imported from next/navigation. This will enable us to go to any other page if we want. Like back in the days, we used to use like history in React, right? Something like this. So I'll show you how you can work with this, but let's add the state to our input over here. So value is going to be username, and I'm going to say on change, set username to e.target.value. Now we are going to be storing the value inside of our input. Okay, nice. Then simply we are going to be having a button after this, which will say join meeting. Let's give it some class name of margin top to be 5. Width is going to be full. Padding vertical is going to be 3. Some background blue of 600. When we hover on it, this will have background blue of 700. Rounded, large, and font to be medium. Okay, nice. Let's see. Yes, this looks nice. All right, cool. Now that we have created this basic UI, let's do one thing. Let's set up our video calling service. So click the link in the description down below and you will land on Stream. And Stream provides us with APIs and SDKs to build in-app chat, video, and feeds faster. I've used Stream for a lot of my client applications and it works absolutely amazing when you're trying to implement something like video call, much like Google Meet, where you can also share your screen and stuff, right? So it's absolutely amazing. Let me show you. So just click on Start Coding Free and just create an account over here, or maybe you can log in with your Google account. I'm going to do that as well. There we go. I am in. And by the way, it is absolutely free to get started. They have a very generous free tier. Let's click on Create App right here. And I'm going to name our app Smart Meeting Assistant YT. Let's choose the storage location. I'm going to choose Mumbai because that is nearest to me. And over here, feeds data location as well. And click on Create App. There we go. It has been created right here. And this is our API key and API secrets that we need to add inside of our application. So let me just copy this and go to our Next.js app right here. I'm going to create a new file .env and I'm going to paste it over here. And I'm going to call it Stream API key. The next thing that we want is the API secret. So I'll paste it over here as well. Let's call it Stream API secret. And so basically this will be used in the server side when we create the API endpoint. But we also want this Stream API key to be available inside of our Next.js app like client side, right? So again, we're going to be copying it and pasting it right here. For joining the calls, we will be having a call ID. So for now, let me just keep it like a demo meeting room, this ID right here. So next public call ID. Okay, cool. There's that. Now, before moving forward, let me just explain you how the flow inside of our app will actually work. So here's a very simple flow that I've created to explain you guys how our app is actually going to work. So initially we are going to be over here in our home page, right? asking for user's name. If user's name is missing, obviously, as I said, we will be setting it to anonymous. Okay, that's fine. Then Next.js router will send us to the meeting page, that is /meeting/ the name of the meeting, like for example, demo meeting, and then the name of the user. Okay, that's fine. Then we will be fetching the meeting token. Actually, we'll be generating the meeting token using this stream API key and API secret that we have taken, right? And for that, we will be creating an API route inside of our Next.js application. Okay, cool. So we will hit that endpoint and it will return us the token. That's fine. Then we will create the stream user with that token. So if you notice over here, we have this monthly active users, right? So whenever you make a new user join, you have to provide a unique user ID to that particular user. Like for example, if it's Piyush, then we can say like whatever Piyush, or if it's Piyush Agarwal, then Piyush-Agarwal. This can be a unique ID, right? So that every time we do not create new user inside of stream. So this will, let's say, create a new user for Piyush. Then we will initialize the stream provider. Again, I'll show you how you can do that as well. This will wrap our Next.js application, not the whole application, basically the meeting page. After we have done that, then we can initialize the video client for our video call, right? So, and this will be over here again, the video client and the chat client as well, right? For where we will see all of the live transcriptions. And whenever we ask the agent any question, their transcription and notes will appear over there as well. Then we will go inside this meeting room component that we will be creating. We will be joining the call ID and we will start the closed captions, right? Pretty straightforward up until this point. Now, we will make our agent join this call. So we will be working on the backend as well, right? For creating our agent with something called as Vision Agents, which is also made by guys over at Stream, which is an open source project, right? Okay, so let's see how that flow will work. So agent or the AI note taker, whatever you want to call it, will join the call. It will stay on the backend and it will keep listening to whatever users are talking with each other until any user says, "Hey assistant" keyword, right? As soon as the user says that, assistant will get activated and will respond with whatever user is asking. Let's say if user is saying that summarize this call or provide me with the meeting notes, then the assistant will do that as well, right? Okay, so that is a very basic flow. Now there can be another flow when user leaves and rejoins. So let's say user has left the meeting, right? And again, if they are reloading the meeting page, then again, we're going to go through the same process. We generate the meeting token and all, but this time we will already have the user created inside of our stream, right? So over here in stream dashboard. So this won't be creating another user with that user ID, right? And again, all of this is absolutely the same, right? So basically this is how our call flow will look like. All right, now let's go on and install Stream inside of our Next.js app. So I'm going to say Stream docs. Let's go right here. And actually, I'll just go on over here, client, and I'm going to be selecting video and audio. Okay, nice. We're here. So by the way, any point in this video, if you do not understand anything, keep these docs open. These docs have their own AI as well. You can ask them questions about whatever feature that you don't understand in Stream, right? Okay, so let's go on and install. So I'm going to say npm install at Stream video React SDK. So I'm going to open a new terminal over here. So let's switch to that folder, else it will be installed outside. And I'm going to say npm install Stream IO video React SDK. Now this one is for React, right? But we are also going to be creating the API endpoint for generating the token for our meeting. So for that, we're going to be needing their Node SDK as well. So I'll say at Stream.io Node-SDK. Apart from that, we are also going to be displaying the live transcriptions and all. So we will be needing the package Stream Chat and Stream Chat React. Okay, press enter. And there we go. It is installed. Let's verify it inside of our package.json. Yes, all of these are installed right here. Awesome. Now, first thing first, over here in our page.js, when we click on this join meeting, we want to send user to the meeting page, right? So I want to say on click this handle join function, which obviously does not exist yet. So I'll say const handle join equals function right here. And inside of this, simply, first of all, we will take the name of the user, right? So something like this, const name equals username.trim. We will trim whatever the username is kept over here. Otherwise, we will say guest or anonymous, whatever that you want. I'm going to say anonymous. Then after this, let's get the meeting ID over here. So we've kept the meeting ID inside of our process.env.next public call ID inside of .env, right? So I'll take the meeting ID and then we will simply push it. So router.push/meeting. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's keep it name to encode URI component to be this name. Okay, so this will generate us the URL for the meeting. And inside of this meeting page is where we will be writing our main logic. So let's first test it out if this is working. So if I say Piyush over here and click on join meeting, this should route us to /meeting/this demo meeting room with name Piyush. Okay, this is nice. Obviously this page does not exist. So let's just create that. So if you notice, this is a dynamic route, right? We don't know what will be over here. So to create such a route in Next.js or any route for that matter, first of all, we have to create a new folder over here. I'm going to say meeting, right? This creates a new route inside of our app. But since we want to create another route inside of it, I'm going to say new folder and we will have two square brackets and I'll say ID right here. And inside of this is where we will have our page.jsx. RAFCE, let's say meeting page. Save this. And now if we go back, yep, we can see meeting page right here. Awesome. We'll come back to this page, but first let's write the server side logic for generating the token for our call, right? So inside this app folder, I'm going to create a new folder called API and another folder called token. Inside this is basically a route, right? The backend route for /API/token. And then we have to create a file called route.js inside of it for creating our endpoint. So whatever we want to create, like get endpoint or post endpoint, we have to name it accordingly. Like if we want to create a post endpoint, I'm going to say export async function post and I'll say request. And this is basically our endpoint. So over here, I'm going to be having a try catch block. And inside this, I'll be taking out the user ID that will be sent to us. So user ID, we'll take it out from our request. So await request.json. Now we will take this user ID to create a new user inside of Stream. Now, first of all, let's import both of those Stream API key and API secret. So I'll say const API key, process.env Stream API key and API secret as well. Okay. Now after this, let's just verify both of these are present over here or not. So I'll simply have an edge case that if API key is not there and API secret is not there, then return response.json, and this response is a part of Next.js response.json, missing API credentials, status error 500. Okay, nice. Now let's create a new Stream client. So I'll say new Stream client, which will initialize our Stream client in front end. So I'll say Stream client, and this will be imported from /node-sdk that we installed, right? And we'll provide it with the API key and API secret. So I'll say const server client equals this. We will store it over here. Okay. Now after this, we will create the user in Stream's system, right? So I'll take a object over here, const new user. We'll say ID will be the user ID that is provided to us. Role is going to be admin and name to be user ID. So we've provided admin so that this user has all of the access when it comes to our calls. So by the way, you can manipulate the access to admins and stuff over here in the roles and permission related to chat or let's say video and audio, right? So if I click on it, see, we have role over here. You can keep whatever role that you want and you can change the scope over here as well. Okay. So after this, I'm going to say await server client dot upsert user. Upsert means update or insert, and new user. If user already present, then we will update it with the new information. Right, let's generate the JWT token now. So I'll say const validity equals, we're going to keep it valid for 24 hours. So this is correct. Oops, not 7 days. 60 into 24. Yes, is correct. Then let's generate the token. So I guess not this. So server client dot generate user token. This is the function that we'll be using, and we will be providing it with our user ID and validity. So inside of this object right here, I'll say user underscore ID is going to be the user ID, and validity in seconds is going to be this validity over here. Okay. So this is how we will be generating this token, and then we can send it to our front end to be used inside of our video call. Okay, nice. Now simply inside of the catch, we are going to be taking the error and we will say status 500 error failed to generate token. Cool. So yeah, this is a very simple way to create or generate a token using the Stream client. Let's close this up. All right. Now, before continuing with this page, we want to wrap it with something called a Stream provider, right? So let me show you. So here in the Stream docs, Just click on this quick start over here and see, it will tell you what we need to do. First of all, we need to wrap our app with this stream video. If you want to add more features, you can wrap with them as well. So you'll be using stream video and actually chat as well, right? So let me just show you instead of showing the docs. Let's create a components folder over here. Inside this, I'm going to create a new file, stream-provider.jsx. Now this is going to be the component that will wrap our meeting page. So I'll say export default function stream provider. This will take children, that is the component which will be wrapped, the user information and the actual token that we have generated. And we will take this user and token, and also actually we're going to be needing the API key over here as well. So const API key process.env next public stream key. And here we are going to be writing a logic. Actually, that's going to be a big logic. So let's just create a custom hook for it. So use stream clients and we can provide it with the API key, user and token. So let's just create this custom hook first. So over here, I'm going to create a new folder for our hooks. And inside this, I'm going to create a new file called use stream clients.js. Inside of this, I'm going to say export function use stream clients. And this will take the API key, user and the token that we're providing. Right. Inside of this, we are going to be taking two states over here. So basically the two clients that we have to initialize over here are the video client and the chat client, right? So I'll take both of them over here. So I'll say use state and then inside of the use effect hook. And again, guys, I will explain you how to do this exactly, but if you want to get much more in-depth information, I would highly recommend just keep on referring to the docs as well. It will help you out a lot. So inside of this use effect, first of all, we will check if all of these three are present or not. So if any of these three are not present, then I'm going to say return. Otherwise, we're going to be creating a function over here called init clients. Okay. Now inside of this, we will initialize the video client first, right? So over here, I'm going to say const token provider promise.resolve token. And then I'm going to say new stream video client. So make sure to import it from video-react-sdk this time because we're in front end, right? And we're going to provide it with the API key, user, and this token provider right here when this is resolved. And we are going to be keeping it in the try catch block over here. That's why we have kept this token provider over here. So let's put this over here. Okay. After this, we have to initialize the chat client as well. And let me show you. So basically for chat, they have a completely different documentation, chat messaging. So you can go through that and you will find all this code over there. So first of all, I'm going to say stream-chat.get instance, and we have to import the stream chat from stream-chat.get instance, the API key. And then I'm going to say I'm going to connect the user with the chat and I'm going to provide the user information and the token, right? And I'm going to check if is mounted is true. So we're going to be taking this is mounted over here. By default, it's true. That is the provider is still mounted. Then I'm going to say set video client and chat client to be this. And in the error, I'm simply going to show console.error. And after this function, I'm going to call this. Now we also have to write the cleanup function over here as well. So over here, I'm going to say is mounted to be false. And for both of the video and chat client, I'm going to disconnect them. So something like this, video client.disconnect user, chat client.disconnect user. And this use effect will only run if any of these things change. Let me see. Yes, this is the use effect. Okay, looks good. Then in the end, we can return the video client and the chat client. Okay, looks good. Let's make use of this hook over here. Let me just import it. And let's take out both video client and chat client over here and initialize our app with it. So first of all, I'm just going to check if this does not exist. So I'm quickly going to bring in this code. It's very simple. If video client does not exist and chat client does not exist, we're going to simply show our div with the paragraph saying connecting, right? That's all. Then after this, I'm going to say return. Instead of this, I'm going to say stream video. So something like this, and this will take the client of video client that we have initialized, right? And inside of this, also make sure that you import it from video-react SDK. And we also want to take and we want to initialize with the chat client and we want to provide the children inside of it. Okay, nice. So this is basically for setting up our app. Now we can take this stream provider and wrap it around our component that we're going to be creating. So let's go back to our page.jsx. Let's make sure that everything is fine up until this point inside of our app. Nothing is breaking. Yeah, that's fine. So over here, first of all, we are going to be taking the ID of our call from the URL, right? The ID that we have set. So for that, I'm going to be using search param. So use search param hook from next/navigation. We are also going to be having two more hooks. So actually search param is for the user name and params is going to be for the ID, right? My bad. So let's just import both of them from next/navigation as well. Sorry, next/navigation. And this will be a client component as well since we are using hooks. So use client. Below this, let's take out the ID. So I'll say call ID equals params.id and the name of the user as well. So I'll say const name equals search params.get name. If it's not present, then I'm going to say anonymous. Okay. Then we are going to be taking a few states over here for storing our user token and if there's any error, right? Okay, that's fine as well. Let's set the user with respect to the name, right? So I'm going to say use effect over here. Let's import use effect from React. Make sure to import use state as well. And inside this, this set user, it's giving some warnings. I think you don't need to pay attention to this. So just say for entire file, disable for entire file. This is basically React compiler. So over here, I'm going to say set user. We're going to provide it with some ID that we will be sending to that route that we created, right? To generate the token. So it will look something like this. If it's Piyush, let's say Agarwal, then this will become something like this. See, because that's what we're doing. We're converting into the lowercase and replacing the spaces with the dashes, right? It will have the ID and the name. Okay. So now below this is where we will be using that API route to fetch it. So fetch the token. So use effect and inside of it, and by the way, it will run if user changes. Okay. So inside of this use effect, I'll say if user is not present, then return. Right after this, okay, it's giving me this suggestion. So I'll say const fetch token async. I don't think we need any function over here. Let me just say fetch /API / not this. So it will be /API / token. That is what our endpoint was. Let's have the closing tag over here. Inside of this, I'll say method to be post. Inside of our headers, I'll say content type application /JSON and body will be JSON.stringify user and no need for the call ID. So user, it will be user ID actually that we're sending. So user.id and no need for the name over here. Okay. After that, I'm going to say .then we're going to convert it to JSON. And after that, I'm going to say if data.token is present, then we're going to set the token to data.token. Else we're going to set the error over here. Okay, nice. Otherwise, we're going to catch the error. I'll say .catch. We're going to take the error, set error to be this. Okay, cool. I think that is good enough. Now, if there's any error, you can show the UI for the error. So let me just bring that in real quick. So I'll say if error is there, then return. This is very simple UI. I'm just saying div and some paragraph tag. Inside of the paragraph tag, I'm showing the error. And when we click on the button, I'm just saying router.push to /page. And we are also going to be testing if the token is not present or the user information is not present. Then I'm going to show connecting over here, right? With some spin loader. I mean, you can just modify these according to you. I'm not going to, spend much time explaining what going on over here. It's just very simple UI, right? Okay. Now, finally, once everything is ready, we can just render our stream provider over here that we just now created. We will be needing user information over here. And also the token will be provided over here as well, right? Inside this, we are also going to be needing something called a stream theme. So this will, make our call UI look good. And then inside this, we are going to be rendering the meeting room component, right? So up until now, I guess everything is cool. You can see it's showing connecting over here. And as soon as it is connected, it should show us the meeting room. Wait, let me just open the console. I think there's some error over here. Let me just refresh the page first. Okay, let's see. Okay, error, no token returned. Let's see what's wrong. So it says server client.upsert user is not a function. Okay, we wrote it in this route.js, right? So server client, did we not import it? I think it's upsert users. Yes, I think that's what it is. Let's go and check it out again. Let me just refresh this page again. It's connecting. Again, no token returned. What's wrong? Users.forEach is not a function. Okay, it's because this needs to be an array over here. I guess I made all of the errors in this one line itself. Let's just refresh it again. Okay, it shows connecting now. Okay, nice. And it shows meeting room. That's great. This is a good news. And as soon as I guess I'll just go back to localhost 3000, it should disconnect from the call. Let's go inside of our stream dashboard if we can see any user information. Okay, not yet. Maybe it'll update later on, but it's all right. Let's continue. Let's go on and create the UI for our meeting. Right, so over here, we're going to be creating a component over here. So now let's create a component for our meeting room. So I'll say meeting room.jsx RAFCE meeting room. So first of all, over here, to create our meeting room, we have to import something called as use stream video client, right? Make sure to import it from this package right here. I'm going to say const client equals this. Okay. After this, we're going to be taking a couple of states over here as well. So one of them will be the call and other one, the error. Let's import the use state over here. Let's make it a client component. Okay, good. After this, we're going to be taking a few refs, actually a couple of reps for checking the join and leaving status, right? We're not using use state over here so that when the component re-renders, this does not get lost, right? So let's just import this as well. And we're going to be taking the call type over here as well. I'll show you where this will be used. Okay. Now, first of all, before creating any other logic over here, I'm going to write if there's any error inside of our call, then I'll simply show this div with the error. And I'll also say if call is not present, then I'll simply show loading meeting until this gets initialized with the value. Okay. And over here for this component, we're going to be wrapping this with something called a stream call component. It says not defined. Let's make sure to import it. It will be imported from the same package. Okay. And this will take this call object that we will be initializing over here. Okay. Now, after this, we're going to be taking a use effect over here. We're going to be writing all of our main logic right here. First of all, this will run only when the client changes, call ID changes, or user ID changes. And by the way, this component right here will be getting call ID, on leave, and user ID. What happens on leave, right? On leave will actually be pretty straightforward. This will simply be, actually, let me just apply it from over there itself. So from page.js here, not page.js, I mean this. Yeah, this one. Over here, we'll be importing this meeting room, right? So I'll say meeting room, and we will supply it with the call ID on leave. We're going to be creating this handle leave function, which is going to be straightforward router.push and the user ID, right? So all of these three things are what this will be getting. Okay, let's continue. We were writing the use effect, right? So first of all, I'll check if the client is not present. So this client right here. So I'll say if client is not there and joined ref.current. So over here is where we will be adding the value if the user has joined or not, right? Making it true or false. So if you have used refs before, we have to do join ref or whatever ref whatever ref is called, and I'll say dot current. So if it's false, then we're going to return. If it's true, we'll continue. So I'm going to say join ref dot current equals true. So after this, I'm going to say const init, and we're going to be initializing our call right here. Inside of this, I'll have the try catch block, where I'm going to say const my call equals client. So this client right here dot call. So basically all of these things you can find in the streams documentation again. And we are basically initializing the call right here. You can see the type of call that we are providing, default, ID of the call, right? And some more additional options. So if I go on over here, you will find more details in the docs, right? Now after this, we're going to be creating this new call. If the call already exists, we're going to get it. So I'll say await my call dot get or create. We'll provide the data. So created by ID and the user ID and the members over here. So user ID and role will be call member. Okay. After this, after we have created the call, we are going to join the call. So await my call dot join. And also we also want to get all the captions from the call. So I want to say await my call dot start closed captions and language will be English. Okay. Now we also want to listen if user leaves the call, right? So I'm going to start an event listener over here. So I'll say my call dot on call.session-ended. Now this is very specific to stream, so you can see we have a bunch of different functions over here, right? So we are going to be using what happens when the session ends. We'll just console log session ended, and we will call this onLeave function that we're going to be getting from meeting room over here, right? So simply it will just throw them back to slash page. And then after this, once we have the call, we're going to say set call to my call. And in the catch, we're going to just display set error to error dot message. Okay. Now after this, we're going to be simply calling this function right here. Now we also have to take care of what happens when the component unmounts. So over here and return, I'll say if call is going on or leaving ref.current is not false, then we're going to make it true. And I'll say call.stop closed caption. We're going to turn off the closed captions or the transcriptions, and we're going to leave the call. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. How about we go on and try this out? So over here, inside of this, we're going to be first of all taking a div. So I'll take a div right here with some basic styles like minimum height to be screen. We're going to take the gradient. Actually, this should be background linear to bottom right, from gray via gray 800 to gray 900. Text will be white. It will be container, MX auto, so that this is in the very middle, some padding of vertical and horizontal. Inside of this, we're going to have another div with display grid so that we can see the call on the left side and the transcription on the right side, right? So I'll take a div of grid columns, one in smaller screens. In bigger screens, it will be one fraction for the left one and 420 pixels for the right one. Gap to be 6, height to be screen. Okay, now inside of it, let's render our speaker layout. So I'll have a div over here, and inside of this, we will be rendering the speaker layout, right? And after this, we will be rendering the call controls. Okay, then after this is where we will be rendering the transcription or live transcription, right? Okay, so first of all, let me just render speaker layout. So this is basically a pre-built component that we get so that we don't have to, create a custom UI over here. So speaker layout, and below it, I'm going to be rendering the call controls. What happens on leave? We're going to say on leave. Let's create a function over here, handle leave click. So basically this will disconnect the call. So over here, I'm going to say const handle leave click. And inside of this function, first of all, I'll check if leaving ref.current is true, then we're going to trigger the onLeave function and return. That is, if user has already left the call, right? We're just going to simply route them. So after this, if that is not true, leaving ref.current, we're going to make it as true. And then let me just bring in the code. It's pretty straightforward, just like we've written earlier. So in try catch block, if the call is still going, I'm going to say stop closed captions and leave. If there's any error, we're going to catch it. Finally, we're going to route the user back. Okay, I think this should work. Let's see if there's any issue. Probably with the design and stuff, we will fix it. So let me just enter my name, join meeting. Okay, we can see the meeting is loading. And it's asking me camera permission. Let's allow. But the camera, the laptop that I'm recording this with doesn't have that good of a camera. Let's first test the mic. Okay, we can see. Okay, so it says that token used before issue at IAT. I think it's the time zone difference between the stream and my local computer. So come to this file, route.js, and we need to fix a couple of things over here. So let me show you what I did. So basically, over here, you have to take const now equals math.floor date.now divided by 100, that is current time in seconds. And we already have the validity. So now over here, we're going to be adding this IAT now minus 60, which will issue the token 60 seconds in the past so that we don't have any instant issues right now, right? So now this should work. Let's go and check it out. If I refresh this page, okay, you can see it's working, and you can see my camera is absolutely worst quality when it comes to this laptop. So I'm basically not even visible right now because one reason is light is behind my head. But what's up with this UI? I think we need to import some CSS over here, like styles over here. So in this meeting room, you have to import this at stream.io/video react sdk/dist css styles.css, and this might fix it. Yes, we can see it. We can see the call controls over here as well. Let's just do one thing. Let's just wrap these. First of all, for the speaker layout, I'm going to be having a div right here. I'll wrap this speaker layout. So basically this will say flex1, rounded XL, background gray 800, some border gray 700, some overflow hidden, and some shadow, right? When it comes to the call controls, this will have similar styles. So let's wrap this in this div, and simply we're going to say display flex, justify center, some padding, some background color, some rounded corners, etc. Right? So let's see. Okay, now it's looking pretty good. So you can see it's our video. If someone else joins, they will be added right here on the bottom. We can also turn off our video. We can change our video. We can change our mic over here as well. You can see it shows all of the audio levels and stuff. So this is pretty good. If you also want, we can share our screen over here as well, right? So this is super cool. Let's just create a div at the bottom for our transcription right here. So this will simply say background gray 800, some rounded 2XL border, border gray 700, overflow hidden. I'll say transcripts for now. So let's see. Yes, transcripts over here. It's nice. All right, cool. So we've done the basic functionality of our app. Now what we can do, we can start developing our agent. How our agent will join the call, how they will answer it, how they'll get the context of our call. And for that, we have to create this agent with something called as vision agents. So let me show you. So click the link in description down below and you land on Vision Agents. And Vision Agents is absolutely free to use. It's an open source repository and it's made by the same people at Stream, right? So it's seamlessly compatible. So as you can see, Vision Agents is an open source video AI framework for building real-time voice and video applications. So what type of applications can you make with it? Like something like coaching and training, probably live sports coaching or guided workout, something like that, collaboration, what we are making, like a meeting assistant, right? Notes taking and all, video AI, etc. Right? And you can see over here, it provides us with a bunch of different things like text to speech, speech to text, speech to speech, turn detection. And if you scroll down over here, you'll find a bunch of different options and we will explore them according to our need, right? So first of all, let's go on and install it. And one thing that I want to mention over here is that this is made in Python. And don't worry if you don't know Python at all, I will show you how you can go on and develop it step by step. Even if you know JavaScript, that's fine. I will give you an appropriate example on how we are going to be writing this code in Python and we will build it step by step. So obviously the first option is to install Python inside of your laptop. So let's search Python and specifically we want to install Python 3.13 because it's mostly compatible with this from what I've seen as of now. You can check their docs for the updates for further compatibility, right? So let's click on over here. And there we are. And obviously, right now I'm on Windows. To install it on Mac OS, you can search for the appropriate instructions. Probably ask ChatGPT or Claude, whatever, right? So let's download Python install manager. Let's download it, and it has started downloading. All right, there we go. Let's click on install Python, and now it has opened up this. Update settings now, yes. Add commands directly to your path now, yes. So it will do everything. We don't need to do anything. Install C Python, yes. Okay, so looks like it is installing Python. It's saying that installing Python 3.14.2. Okay, we want to install 3.13. So let me just go to the second link over here. And I guess we can rather download this one. And then we can probably click on here. I think this is better, Python 3.13.11. So you know what, let me just complete this. I'm just going to say yes. Okay, let's wait for it to install. I don't want any other version to get installed. You know what, actually we can just check. Just open command prompt and type. And I will first uninstall Python 3.14 over here. So right click, uninstall. All right, there we go. It's downloaded. Let's run this. Install now. There we go. It is done. Let's close this and this page as well. Now next, let's open our command prompt again and check. Oops. Looks like we're going to have to add this to our environment. Click on environment variables. Over here under system variables, you have to find this path over here. Click on edit and we have to add the path to our Python. So let's go and see what's the path to our Python. So it must be over here in C drive, users, then go to whatever your username is, then app data, local, programs, go to Python, and there we go, Python 3.13. So let's just copy it up. And over here, we're going to say new, add this. We're going to say new again. Actually, we have to add scripts folder. So this one, let's copy it up, new, and add this over here as well. Okay, okay, okay. And let's reopen the command and check again, Python -- version. Press enter, and there we go. We can see Python has been installed. Awesome. So the first step is done. Now the next step is to install UV inside of our PC. So I'm going to say pip install UV. Press Python manager, so you can consider it similar to npm. So you can see we can install then Vision Agents, a Python package, something like this. So you can see the UE is getting installed. So let's wait. Okay, successfully installed. Nice. Let's check if it is installed. UV dash dash version. There we go. It is installed. Awesome. Now let's see what are we supposed to do over here. First of all, we have to install Vision Agents. So what we will first of all do, we will come back to our project right here, and we will open a new terminal, and we will actually create a folder right here. So let's say backend, and we'll switch to it, switch to backend folder. And now here we have to run uv v env. We are basically creating a new virtual environment. What's wrong? UV is installed, right? Okay, we cannot see it installed right here. I guess we need to just restart our VS Code right here. Let me just close the window and let's reopen this again. All right, there we go. Let's switch to backend folder again. Let's check if UV is installed now over here. Okay, great, it is installed. Now we can say UV v env. So basically we are creating a virtual environment right here. So if you notice in the backend, we have all of these files created, right? And this is where we are going to be writing our code as well. So not inside of venv. Okay, so now what we will do, we will say uv init, and this will initialize a new project inside of over here. You can see something like this, and this is our main.py file where we can run our code. So let me say python main.py, and you'll see it will print hello from backend right here, right? Super cool. Now let's go on and install our dependencies that we will be needing. So basically we have to install Vision Agents. Now from Vision Agents, we can install multiple things, like for example, Stream, since we'll be using Stream in our front end, right? If we wanted to use OpenAI's API key, we can install OpenAI, which comes inbuilt inside of Vision Agents, so that we don't have to write additional code. If we wanted to use 11 labs, we could have done over here, right? But we will be using Gemini since the API key has some generous free tier, right? So let me just copy this line and paste it over here. Instead of deepgram and all of these, I'll say Gemini and press enter. So you can see it is installing all of these packages. And again, I would highly recommend you guys to go through this documentation. It is super helpful. Like for example, if you want to build a real-time voice agent, which we are over here, right? They have given a complete instruction on how you can do this over here as well. We will be also been needing some environment variables, so we could have installed python -.env. So let me just do that as well after this is done installing. All right, there we go. It is done. Let's now install our python-.env. So I'll paste this and press enter, and you'll see that all of these will be mentioned right here in the project.toml file. Let's also install .env package in case we'll need it. Okay. All right, so let's go inside of our main.py file, and over here just some basic Python stuff, that if you want to define a function, you have to use like something like this, define and main function, and then you have to use alignments to write your code, right? I'll show you as we move forward in this like writing this code. So first of all, we have to import some things, right? Like for example, some packages, some basic packages, like for example, async IO, right? This is like async await in JavaScript, and it's used to perform the asynchronous operation. Let me just write all of the steps that we are going to be doing over here. So first of all, we are going to be doing our basic setup and adding the imports. Then next, we will be adding the event handlers for session and participants for our agent. Then step 3 is going to be add transcription handler, so we can send it to our front end. Then we can add the Q&A feature so that users can ask assistant by saying something like, hey assistant, what did we discuss? Tell me the notes, etc. And also the error handling and cleanup. Okay, so first of all, let's work on these imports, right? So we will import async IO. We will import a few more things like OS to read the environment variables that we will be creating right here. We're going to be having logging. It's like console log, right? But it's better than print that we use in Python. We will also be importing UUID4 to generate unique IDs and load _.env to load our .env file. Okay. Now we need to import components from our Vision Agents library that we just now installed over here. So this Vision Agents, right? So I'm going to say Vision Agents .core and imports agents. So this is the main agent class that I've written over here. We're also going to import GetStream and Gemini for adding those integrations from Vision Agents.plugins. And we are also going to be importing user so we can set the user type for our agent. Now, apart from that, we also need a couple of more imports. One of them being visionagents.core.events. So these are basically different types of events that will happen inside of our app. Like for example, what happens when participant joins, we can perform some action. What happens when they leave? What happens when call session starts, right? When it ends, and what happens when an error occurs, right? And again, I will show you how we will be using them. And one more thing that we'll be having over here is for Gemini. So from visionagents.core.llm.events, we will import real-time user speech transcription so that we can transcribe this, and this will provide us the segment of what user is talking about, and then we can provide it to the Gemini to process these. And also LLM response chunk events. When our agent responds, we can send it to our front end. Okay, this looks good. Let's now actually create our .env file first. And let's add our environment variables over here. I'm going to get a new file, .env. And over here, we're going to be adding very similar things like, for example, stream API key and secret, something like this. We will also be having the call ID, similar to what we've taken in front end, so that we can test it out. So I'll just have call ID equals demo meeting room. Keep the ID same so the agent can join this call. And also we will have the Gemini API key, right? So let's take this API. I'll just go to my browser and I'll go to ai.studio.google.com/API key. And over here, you need to create an API key by clicking over here. If you don't have any Google Cloud project, just you can create a project over here. I already have it. So I'm just going to select it and click on create new key. There we go. It is created. Let's click on over here and copy this API key. And I'll paste this right here. Okay, looks good. Let's close this up and this as well. Okay. Now next, what we can do, we can set up our logging so we can see whatever's that happening inside of our application. So I'm going to say logging.basic config. So we've imported this logging package, right? Level is going to be logging.info is what we want to see. I'll say logging.get logger __ name. Okay, let's load all of our environment variables that we have added. So yeah, it's giving a suggestion. So load _.env, we're going to call this function and this will load our environment variables. After this, we will be taking a variable over here as well. So I'll say meeting _ data. And here, inside of this, we will be taking two things. First, we want our transcript to be stored over here. Let's keep it an empty array. We will be storing it inside of it. And if the call is active, so also is _ active. By default, it will be false. So this will basically contain all of the user transcription. Like whatever user speaks in the meeting, we will keep on storing it over here as a context so that our agent can refer to it. Okay, and actually all of this should be over here in this step 2, I guess. Yes. Okay. Now let's actually create the agent function over here. So to create an asynchronous function, I'll say async that we imported, define start _ agent. And this will take the call _ID, which will be a string. And then inside of it, we're going to have some description. So to add it over here. So this is basically like we are adding description to this particular function on what this function is all about. So I'll say start the meeting assistant agent. And the args that this will take is call ID. Obviously, this is optional. After this, we can probably add some console logging over here so that we can see if our agent is working fine or not in the terminal. Okay, now after this, we can create our agent. So agent equals agents.agent. And again, guys, make sure to keep following the documentation. It will help you out a lot. Inside this, we will use streams video infrastructure. So I'll say edge equals get stream package dot edge. Then we will create the user profile for the agent. So you might remember we created the user in our front end as well, right? Similarly, I'm going to say agent _ user package that we imported. Inside of this, it'll take it'll take ID. So ID I'm going to be keeping as not this one. I'll just say meeting assistant bot. Name can be meeting assistant. Let's remove the role. Okay. Now after this, we have to give it some instructions right here. So we will do that as well. I'll just put these 3 strings over here. So basically the 3 strings are used for multi-line strings, 3 quotes, I mean. So it will take instructions, and then after it, we will provide it with our Gemini real time. So I'll say LLM equals whatever LLM that you want to use over here. I'm using Gemini. So Gemini dot not Gemini, I'll say real time. And I'll say FPS equals 0 because we don't want to take video frames, right? We only want audio. So let me actually add some comments over here as well. So use Gemini real-time API. It will handle all of these things that are part of vision agents. Okay, this looks good. And we can store this agent's reference for later use as well inside of this meeting data, right? So what we can do right after this, I'm going to say meeting data of agent. I'm going to store this agent and the call ID as well, both of these things. Okay, so this is how we have created this basic agent. We will start it in just a moment, but let me show you in the documentation. We have this agent class right here that we are using, right, to create our agent. So you can see we have provided this edge and all of these things. We have provided different things to it, like instruction and all. For now, let me just add this instruction over here. Okay, then we will add in like instructions in depth. So I'll just say you're an helpful AI assistant. Okay, and we have already also provided our LLM. That's fine. We don't need all of these other things. What I want to show you guys over here is this events system. Okay, so we have different events that we'll be adding over here. Like what happens, as I showed you, like we have imported all of these things, right? What happens when a user joins, leaves, call starts, call ends, etc. Right? So you can go through all of these. Like for example, call session participant joined event. They are simply providing this response over here from agent. Hello, whatever the name of the participant is. If you want, you can just do this as well. There are more events over here. So you can see we are using some of these events right here. So this is how we will be creating them. So let me show you one of them. So if I go on over here, right after this, I'm going to say register event listener. So async define. Let me just write the custom code. I'm not sure how accurate this is. So async define. Let's just name it handle session started. And we will take this event call session started event from right here. You can add description over here just like we have added earlier. As soon as this is started, we can just say is active to be true. We can also console log meeting started. Okay. After this, we will also initialize the chat channel, but let's wait for that one for now. What we will do, let's just try to run this function up until this moment. Right, so over here at the very bottom, we will actually be creating our entry point over here. So if you remember, I removed this code, right? If name equals main, so this is where our entry point is going to be. We can set our call ID, something like this. So os.getEnv call ID that we have set inside of our .env file. If it's not present, then we can generate some random call ID over here, something like this from a UUID4 that we have taken. And simply we can run this. Actually, we'll put it in a try catch block. So try start agent. So this is the function that we have right here, right? Trigger it with call ID. And we will add except keyboard interrupt. That is what happens when user presses Control plus C, right? We will simply just, console log meeting assistant stopped by user. Then finally, and over here, we can simply say if meeting data or transcript has anything, we just, print the transcript. And obviously this function does not exist over here. We will be creating this function over here somewhere. Let's say define print meeting summary. Is this logger info meeting summary? Yeah, I think this looks fine. That is what we want to do. Okay, cool. Why don't we go on and try to run this? So I'll just go on to our terminal. This is we are inside of our backend, right? So I'll say python main.py. Okay, we have an error over here. Invalid syntax, perhaps you forgot a comma. Let's see. Oh yeah, we have to provide commas over here as well. Over here, here. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's run this again. What's wrong? Async io dot run. Over here, okay, we have to indent it forward. Again, these things are like something that you have to take care of in Python. What's wrong? Module name dot env does not exist. Is that the case? We have installed it, I guess. Yeah, we have installed it. I guess what we need to do is to activate our virtual environments. For that, you have to say .venv/scripts/activate. Okay, running scripts is disabled on this system. I guess we'll have to change the execution policy inside of PowerShell. So say set dash execution policy and dash execution policy remote sign dash scope current user. Press enter, and this should now allow you to run this. Okay, nice. Now it is allowing me to run it. Great. Let's install our python-env again over here. I guess it is already installed, so we should not need to install it. Let's just try doing for .env. Okay. Now let's try to run our python main.py. Let's see if it runs. I guess probably it did. Why don't we go on and try running our front end as well? npm run dev, press enter. Well, it should have shown if it ran, so I don't know what's happening. So let me just say meeting assistant and npm run dev. You know what? Actually, I realized that we have not made agent to join the call. Let's just first enter the call. I'll click on join meeting. It won't work, I know for sure, because we have to write the code for joining the call as well. So we will just see us. So see, currently we are the only ones in this call right now. Okay, I'll just disconnect it. And what we will do over here, right here, after this, after all of this, we have to initialize and join the call. So for that, simply we will do await agent dot create user. We have created the user inside of stream, and then we will join the call ID that we have defined. So call equals agent dot edge dot client dot video call, default with this call ID. Let's just add console log joining call right here. Let me actually, yeah, it's already shut down. And then after this, I'm going to run await agent dot join call. Okay. Now over here we can add some logs, like yeah, something like this, join call successfully. We can add some features over here instead of this, like auto transcription, Q&A. Hey assist, we can say hey assistant and the question, and this will answer us. And after all this, we will wait until the call ends. So when it does, we will await agent dot finish, and then we will trigger agent finished. Now, most probably it should join our call. Let's just try to run this and see what happens. Okay, that looks like starting meeting assistant. Okay, joining the call. Cool. Let's just try to join it. Piyush, join meeting. And there we go. Our meeting assistant is right here. Amazing. Assistant, so I'm working on this YouTube tutorial. Say hi to my audience.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Awesome. Let's just shut down this call. This is amazing. So we have created like a basic structure for our call. We have to obviously add a lot of things over here, like providing it with the context and everything, right? So, okay, let's see. We can continue from over here, from our instructions actually. We will be providing it with the context over here in the instructions. And they are going to be long instructions, right? So just click the link in description and you will land on this GitHub repository, Smart Meeting Assistants. Go to backend and main.py and just copy this instructions line over here, and I'll show you what this is doing, and paste this right here. So check this out. I'm saying you are a meeting assistant transition bot. I've had some critical rules over here. Like the assistant is only supposed to speak unless someone says, hey assistant. It is not supposed to respond to conversations between users, right? And it will silently listen to whatever users are talking about. I have listed what its job is, what it's supposed to do when it hears hey assistant, right? We have provided some examples over here, so it is able to properly work. Okay, awesome. Let's actually shut down our stream for now. I'll say Control C, and you will see that meeting assistant stopped by user the log that we have added. Let's shut down our front end as well actually. You know what, we can just keep front end running, not an issue. Okay, let's continue over here. So we'll continue creating this handle session started for now. So we are supposed to send our transcription as well to the front end, right? So over here, I'm going to be having a try block, and inside of it, I'm going to say channel equals agent dot edge, and yeah, this is what we want, client dot chat dot channel. I think it's edge dot client dot channel, not this chat over here. Just messaging with the call ID. Okay, then I'll say await channel dot watch, so where it starts listening, meeting underscore data, and I'll have channel over here. We'll update the channel inside of our meeting data object. Then we can probably add some logs over here, like chat channel initialized. Okay, then we can add an exception as E to catch the errors. Logger.error failed to initialize chat channel. Okay, this is fine. Now this is one of the events that I have created right here as an example for you, right? Now let me show you how you can create other events. Like for example, what to do when a participant joins, right? So async define handle participant joined. We're going to provide the event call session participant joined event from right here. So obviously we are supposed to ignore it if it's the bot itself, right? So I'm going to first have an if case over here. If event.participant.user.id is meeting assistant bot, then return it. Otherwise, we'll get the participant's name and log it over here. So participant name equals event participant dot user dot name. Now you can also announce that welcome participant, something like that, right? So if I show you in their docs, they have mentioned it over here. So await, this is how you respond. Agent dot simple response, event dot text, whatever text that you want to respond with, right? So this is basically the transcription. Actually, this is not what we want. So like something like this, yeah. Hello and the name of the participant, something like this, right? If you want, you can probably add it. It will look good in your app. I'll just simply console log it. Sorry, in Python stem, I'll say logger.info or print it. Okay, so not much going on over here in this function. Let's add another event over here. Probably what happens when participant leaves. So call session participant left event. Again, very similar to what we've done earlier. So I'm going to say if event.participant, let's see, user ID is this, then we'll not do anything. Otherwise, we can just say participant left. Okay, this is fine as well. Now we can handle all of our transcriptions. So basically this add transcription handler. Let me just write it over here so that this is more clear. Okay, below it, I'm going to be creating a function called handle transcription. Event will be real-time user speech transcription event. Okay, if you want, you can add some description over here for important functions like this, like called when Gemini transcribes speech to text. And actually, we will be handling Q&A over here as well, right? So you can say this step 4 will be the part of this. We will add it when we go on and start working on Q&A. Okay, so first of all, this handle transcription will receive all of the user speech transcriptions and we have to process them over here. So first of all, we will be ignoring the empty transcriptions. So say if not event.text, it does not exist, or if its length is 0, then return it. Otherwise, we'll move forward. We will get the speaker ID. So the speaker equals get attribute event participant ID. Otherwise, this will be unknown. And we will get the transcription text as well. So this will come as a partial transcription if you're using real-time user speech. So why don't we keep on storing it inside of our meeting data that we have created over here? Yes, inside of this transcript, right? So I'll go back over here. I'll say meeting data, and inside of this transcript, I'll say dot append. We'll store all of this information like who's the speaker, what is the text, and when did they speak about it. Okay, and we can actually in real time just log the transcript as well inside of our console, right? So something like this. It's not really necessary, but if you want just to check, you can log it as well. Okay, let's work on our Q&A feature right here. Let's indent it like this. Okay, so when it comes to Q&A, yeah, as it's giving a suggestion, we need to check for hey assistant trigger, right? So I'm going to say if transcription.text.lower starts with hey assistant, right? Then we're supposed to extract the question what user mentioned after hey assistant. So I'll say question equals transcript text. We will remove this hey assistant, and after this we'll strip all of this. And then I'm going to say if question exists, then after this let's just first log the Q&A. That Q&A was triggered over here. Then we can build the context from all the transcription that we have added right here, right? So we can say context equals meeting transcript first of all, and then we will loop through this meeting data of transcript. So inside of this context variable that we have taken over here, I'll just say speaker and then what speaker said. Okay, then we need to create the prompt with full meeting context. So for the prompt, I'm just going to say I'll provide the context and the user question that user has asked right now. And we can say answer based only on the meeting transcript above. Okay, now we can just respond to the user, right? Whatever agent is going to get from Gemini. So first of all, we need to send it to Gemini. So I'll say await agent.simpleResponse, this prompt right here. And we're going to handle the exception as well, that Q&A error, right? So this will help us to respond to the user. And how will it respond? We have to create another function for that. So agent.events.subscribe. This one will be for handle LLM response. So this event will be LLM response chunk event. So all we'll be doing over here, so first of all, we're going to provide some description, log agent's responses, what AI is saying. This is also sort of optional. We are just logging the agent's response right here, right? Since our agent is already responding. Now we can have a couple of more functions over here like handle session ended. So let me just quickly create them. like something like this, handle session ended, so we'll take the event, call session ended event. The possibilities are endless, whatever you want to do. Maybe after, I've kept it like very simple over here, but if you want, you can do something like when the call session ends, you want to perform some action like make an API call. If you want to send some data inside of our database, again, this app is very simple, but possibilities are endless that you can do over here. I'm just simply console logging. We can also have error handling over here. So we have this add error handling and cleanup, right? So let's just add it right here. For handling the errors, I'm going to have this agent.event.subscribe handle errors with plugin error event. We're simply logging it right here. If it's fatal, then we're going to provide some fatal error logging, right? And yeah, I think this should be good enough to start our agent. Why don't we go on and try it out? Okay, so let's go on and run this. So I'll just go to my backend terminal. I'll just run python.main.py. Let's see if there's any errors over here or not. Okay, starting meeting assistance. Everything looks good right here. Why don't we go on and join the call? So let's go on over here. I'll say Piyush, join call. Let's test out our agent first if it's unnecessarily saying like whatever without us saying hey assistant. All right, our agent has joined the call. Nice. So I'll just mention a few things over here, like just to provide it with some context. So we are going to be discussing about Next.js version 16 and how Next.js version 16 has added a lot of new features, and actually the React version 19.2 as well, which has added the activity component. And what else should I say? It has added a new hook called use effect event. So I guess that's it. Okay, so I gave it a pause and it did not say anything. Why don't we go on and ask it what we discussed? Hey assistant, what did we discuss in this meeting?
We discussed Next.js version 16 and React version 19.2, specifically mentioning the activity component and the use effect event hook.
Amazing. So this is working flawlessly. I love it. Okay, fine then. Let's just disconnect our call. But yeah, with this, we have created our meeting agent, and it's super cool, right? So why don't we go on and add live transcription feature as well? So we are already sending our transcription in form of the messages. So if you remember over here, yes, in the messaging, call messaging, we are sending it, right? So let's go on to our front end. I'm just going to turn our agent off for a moment over here. And let's see if it gives us some, okay, it giving us this error for print meeting summary. Okay, let's go on and fix this first. What's wrong? So inside of our print meeting summary, let me just simplify it a little bit. So over here, instead of this, I'm just going to say for entry in meeting data, we're going to check all of the transcripts and we'll simply log it right here. Okay, this should be good enough. Cool then. Let's go back to our front end actually first and create our live transcription feature. So over inside of a components actually is where we will be creating that component. And inside of our meeting room is where we will be importing it over here. So I'm going to say transcription panel right here. Obviously this does not exist. So let's create a new component or new file, transcript.jsx, RAFCE, transcript panel. Okay, nice. Let's just import it over here. Cool. This is going to be a very straightforward component. So inside of over here, let's check if we are even receiving the transcriptions or not. So I'll use a, yes, this one from stream chat React. And obviously we're using hooks over here. So let's make this a client component, const client, and we'll assign it to it. Okay, we'll take it out, this client from over here. Okay, to store all of our transcripts, we will have this transcript state, and we'll also keep a ref with us to keep track of these. Okay, we also want the access to our call, so we'll have a use call hook over here, which will be imported from at stream/video react SDK. Let's just go on and see inside of our use effect right here. Let's get a use effect and add an event listener for this. So something like this. And inside of dependencies, I'll just add call over here. Okay, inside this curly braces, we will be adding an event over here, call dot on. So there can be multiple different events that can be added over here. You can see we have a bunch of different lists like closed captions, created, deleted, frame, like bunch of different things, right? So what we want is closed caption. So yeah, something like this, call dot closed caption, and we will be creating a function over here called handle closed captions. We will also be adding some cleanup over here. So I'll say return console log cleaning up caption call.off called closed caption and handle closed caption. Let's just create this function now. Handle closed caption. Actually, before it, we need to take a few things. First of all, we'll need to check if the call is like actually running or not, right? So if call is not running, we're gonna console log that call not ready. Then after this, I'm going to say, let's take the call ID and let's take the channel for messaging. So if you remember, we were sending the messages in this messaging channel, right? So we'll take this channel over here and we'll watch it. Now, if you want to send some custom data from the backend as well, you can do that over here as well. But this is good enough for now. Inside this handle close caption, I'll check if we are getting event.closed caption. Then we will create a new transcript over here. Let's just first console log event.closeCaption.text. And let's try to go back to our call. I'll say Piyush join meeting. Let's test it out. Use state is not defined. Okay, let's make sure all of these things are imported. Use effect is imported, I guess. Use state and use ref as well. Let's go again and check. Handle new message is not defined. Okay, my bad. Actually, I was testing something out. That's why I've added this line. So make sure to remove this over here. Okay, our call is running. Let's see if we get any transcriptions over here in the console. Hello world. We're not getting any transcriptions for now. Hello, how's it going? Okay, I'll just turn off the call and we'll check what's wrong over here. So I've actually rejoined the call after disconnecting it. Hello, mic check. What's going on? Okay, nice. We can see all of these transcriptions over here. Awesome. Let's turn off the call. Let's keep writing it. So here, first of all, I'm going to be creating a new transcript object, which will take the text, event closed caption.text. We will add the speaker name or the ID over here, otherwise unknown, and also the timestamp when this was sent. Okay, let's add this to our use state right here. So over here, I'm going to say set transcript. This. Take whatever that's already inside of it and we will add new transcript over here. Okay, cool. So now we should be getting all of these things inside of our transcripts. So right over here, inside of this div, first of all, let's just give this div some class name of height to be full, display flex column. Inside of it, let's have header, which will have some horizontal and vertical padding, some border, and some gradient as well. Flex items to be center, justify to between, so that we have everything is in the center, right? And then inside of it, we will simply, first of all, add an icon over here, something like this. Then after this, let's have another div, which will say live transcript, and will show us the length of all the transcriptions that we have received over here, right? So let's check it out actually while we are building it. Something like this. Actually, we would need another div to wrap both of these div. So I'll put it over here. And for this div, I'll say class name to be display flex, items to be center, and some gap of 3. So let's see. Yes. And you can see it is logging our messages right now. We cannot see it. We can also add something like an indicator of live. So we can say a pulse animation and it will say live. So yes, something like this. We can put it after it. So yes, something like this. Okay, so after this div now, we can render our transcription list or transcript list. So let's add a div over here with flex1, overflow y to be auto because we want it to be scrollable, some padding around it, space between the items, background gray, and custom scroll bar. Instead of it, we will check if transcript dot length equals to 0, then we will render something over here. Otherwise, we will render something else. Right? This will be actually transcript, not end ref. So the ref will basically be used for detecting the scroll of transcript if we have reached the end. If there are no messages, we will simply render a div over here, which will say waiting for transcripts, start speaking to see live transcription appear over here. Right now, let's see, it's connecting. Okay, transcript is not defined. I think it should be transcripts. Yep, you can see waiting for transcripts right here. Okay, nice. But if we have some transcript, we can render it over here. So we will map inside of it. I'll say transcripts.map. Inside of this map, we will have another div right here. Then inside of this div, we're going to be having speaker name and the timestamp that we're getting. And then simply the text of the transcript, right? So below this div, I'll have this text right here. Let's see. Okay, nice. We are getting a bunch of different things right here. But you can see it's not automatically scrolling as we are talking over here, right? So for that, I'll be adding a div at the bottom, ref, transcript, and ref. And we want to scroll as soon as user reaches the bottom or the messages reaches the bottom, right? So over here, I'm going to be adding a use effect, transcript and ref dot current dot scroll into view behavior smooth. So this will always be visible. So you can see something like this. So let's try talking a few more things. Hello, how's it going? What's going on? Hello world. So you will see now that yes, now it is getting scrolled and automatically scrolling. Okay, cool. Now let's go on and start our agent and test our final app. So as soon as I run this, you will notice our agent will join our call as well. There we go. Our agent has joined our call. Amazing. Hey agent, how's it going? I think the height for this transcription is way too long. Okay. Anyways, our agent is working fine. Don't need to worry about it. And you can test it out. You can fix this div if you want and all of those things. So yeah, our smart meeting assistant is working flawlessly. Amazing. Now what you can do, you can, host this app somewhere if you want to have meeting with some other friend or whatever, right? You can do that as well using this, or you can make it a part of a bigger app, which is what this video is encouraging you to do, right? So yeah, hit that like button if you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more such awesome tutorials.